constructing truth tables. So in constructing a truth tables, we have to take note the given conditions for a conjunction. If one value is false, then the truth value is false. So if makita ka diha og usa ka value nga f, automatic the truth value is false. Then the disjunction also is the opposite. If one value is true, then the truth value is true. But for implication, it will be false if your hypothesis is true, but the conclusion is false. The rest, the truth value is true. For biconditional or by implication, if the same values or if both values are true or if both values are false, then the truth value is true. Then for the negation, that is simply the opposite of your value. If your value is true, then the negation of that is false. And if your value is false, then the negation for that is true. So here are the formula. So for conjunction, if one is F, then the truth value is false. For disjunction, if one value is true, then the truth value is true. For conditional or implication, if your hypothesis is true, but the conclusion is false, that is false. Then the rest, true na na siya. Then if both values are true or both values are false, then the truth value is true. So for example, you have if P, then P and negation of Q. We will write the variables. As you can observe, there are two variables here, which is P and Q. So that is basically 2 raised to the power of n for us to know the number of rows, where n here represents the number of variables. So there are two variables here, p and q. So that is 2 raised to the power of 2, which is equivalent to 4. So your number of rows are 4. Then we are going to write if P exists, so P and Q, that is constant, P, Q, and if negation of P exists, we will write negation of P. But as you can observe in the given, wala may negation of P. So, never mind this one. Negation of Q. So, negation of Q exists, so therefore, we are going to write negation of Q. And for the parentheses, that is P and negation of Q. And but for the negation of your parentheses, it doesn't exist. So never mind this one. And for the last part, that is the given. In P, I already showed to you, no? So how did we get TTFF, TF? Napakita na nako nga nung ana na siya, that is constant. So here, when we say negation of Q, that is simply the opposite of Q. So if I have here true, then the opposite is false. If you have false, the opposite is true. And it follows. Then for P and negation of Q, you have your P here. You also have your negation of Q. But take note that connector is a conjunction. When we say conjunction here, if one value is false, then the truth value is false. So makita ka diha og usa ka F, automatic the truth value is false. So here, true and false, na may F, so that is false. And true and true, so wala siya F, that is true. F and F, that is false. F and T, na F di usa, so that is false. So if P, then P and negation of Q, so your hypothesis is P here, then your conclusion is P and negation of Q. Kanus lagi di siya ma-false? Ma-false na siya kung TF, or if the hypothesis is true, but the conclusion is false. So asa man na diha dapit sir ang TF? This one, di ba? T and F. So false na siya. Napay lain? TF. Wala na TF. So the rest, true na ang iyahang value. Okay? So that is the truth value or the truth table, I mean, for this statement. If P, then P and negation of Q. So as you can observe, the truth values here are both false, naapod tayo true, so that is what we call contingency. Okay? For the second example, so still, this is the formula. You also have your given. So as you can observe, there are still two variables here. So expected that we will have four number of rows. So P and Q, that is constant. Then, is negative P exist? Yes, it exists. So therefore, we're going to include negative P. Negation of Q or not P. Asa man ang not Q diri? 9 not P, 9 not Q. Okay, not Q also exists. So we're going to include not Q. Then for this one, the parentheses, you have your first and you also have the second parentheses. Okay. Then the negation of your parentheses, you also have a negation here. No? So you also have to include that one. And for the last part would be your given. So expected, there are four number of rows, P and Q, constant, T, T, F, F, T, T, and T, F, T, F. So for not P, that is again the opposite of your P. So if you have here true, that is false. And if you have a false value, then the negation for that is true. Same process with not Q. You have your Q here. So negation of this one, F, true, false, and true. Then for the fifth column, negation of P or Q, you have your negation of P here. You also have your Q, but take note that is a disjunction. When we say disjunction, if one value is true, then the truth value is true. So if makita lang ka diha usa ka true, automatic true na siya. So true or false, that is true. False or false, that is wala may true, so false. True or true, true. Then false or true, that is true. Okay. So on the sixth one, that is not Q. Where is not Q? Here. You have not Q here and not P. But take note that not Q is your hypothesis. So the arrow goes like that. So we will have it as if F, then F. So that is still true. Anong true man, sir? Kay ma-false naman siya kung TF. Ma-false na siya kung yung aning apart. So that is TF. Because it goes like this. So for this one, TF, so the hypothesis is true, but the conclusion is false, then the truth value is false. The rest, FT and TT, that is true. So simply the negation of this one, the negation of this is simply the opposite of the values. If you have true, then that is false, true, false, and false. And for the last part, your given. So where is this one? Negation of P or Q? Kani siya. Also, the negation of Q, the negation of P. This one. So kana silang duha. But take note that the connector is biconditional or by implication. It says that if both values are true or if both values are false, then the truth value is false. So T and F, they are not the same. So that's why it is false. F and T, still, they are not the same. So that is false. TF and TF still are not the same. So therefore, that is also false. As you can observe, the last part here, the truth values are false. All of them are false. So that is what we call a contradiction. Okay, like the previous example is a contingency. Ganong contingency man. Kay sagol-sagol man siya na true, na false. But this time, the truth values are all false. So therefore, that is what we call a contradiction. So here, the negation of P, if negation of P, then negation of R, or Q if and only if negation of R or not R. As you can observe, the number of variables here, P, Q, and R, tulo na siya. So therefore, that is now 2 raised to the power of n, or 2 raised to the power of, your n here represents the number of variables. So P, Q, and R, that is 3. So expected that you will have 8 rows on this one. And I already showed to you how you are going to get P, Q, and R, the values. So here you have P, Q, and R, this one. So does negation of P exist? Yes, so it is also included. Negation of Q exist? No. So never mind negation of Q. Does negation of R exist? This one. So yes. The parentheses, you have 2 here, 1, 2. And for the negation, okay, so disregard this one and just copy the given. Expected 8 rows. And for P, Q, and R, it is constant. I already mentioned this one. I already showed to you. If nganong nahitabo ni siya nga TTT, FFFF, TTFF, TTFF, and for R, TF, 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 TF. So okay, bawo namin giunsa din ako siya giunsa din nato siya pagkuha. So let's proceed directly with not P. Simply opposite of P. If you have T, 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 F, 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 the opposite for that is F, 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 T, 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 T. So for not R, opposite of this one, opposite of true is false, opposite of false is true. So false, true, false, true, false, true. And in here, as you can observe, negation of P and R. So you have your negation of P here. You also have your R. But take note that the hypothesis is negation of P. So our arrow goes like this. So this is your hypothesis and this one is your conclusion. So we will read this one as if P, then true, or if false, then true. Okay? So since giingon man diri nga ato ang formula na niya ma-false ra siya kung TF. So but here that is FT man. If F then T. So true. Then F, if F then F is also true. Same this one, that is true. This one also is true. This one is true. But with this one, TF, so the hypothesis is true, the conclusion is false. TF man na siya, so that is now false. But this one is true. And the last part, TF, is false. So that is how you're going to get the truth value for the conditional statement. So for Q, if and only if negation of R, this one, Q and negation of R. So it says that if both statements are true, or if both values are true, or if both values are false, then the truth value is true. So T and F, they are not the same, so therefore that is false. But this one, true and true, they are the same, so therefore that is true. F and F also are the same, so that is true. But this one, they are not the same, false. This one also are not the same, false. But here, the same true, so that is true. The same false, so that is true. Then the same false, true, so they are not the same, so that is false. For your final answer, asam nilapit, negation of P. If negation of P, then R, or Q if only if negation of R. So this one. Kani sila. But you have to take note also that the connector here is a disjunction. When we say disjunction, if one value is true, then the truth value is true. So if makita lang ka diha usa ka true, automatic true na na siya. So here, true or false, that is true. Pero kani true or true, so automatic true na na siya. So here you also have true, you have true, you have true, you also have true, you also have true. But for the last part, wala may true diha, walay T. Okay, walay true, so therefore that is false. So still, this one is a contingency.